this is Jim Peters, and this is this town's character. And by character, we don't mean that the person that we have here is a character. We mean that he has a character, and is a special donating person in Lowell city life. And for this month's character, we've picked Gerry Durkin, the transfer admissions director.
Yes.
Transfer admissions director at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. And Gerry, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Okay. Pleasure to be here.
Gerry and I go back a long time. In fact, we even stayed friends in college, despite the fact that he was a math major, and I was in social studies. But he and I remained friends throughout the math major thing, and that worked out pretty well. Did you ever use your math?
Oh yeah, I've taught math.
Taught math.
Yeah, I taught math up at St. Margaret's when I first got out of school, and then I taught in continuing it over at the university.
You did?
Yeah.
Now, do you still teach, or did
No,
you
I haven't. I just haven't had the time to keep it up. I enjoyed it, but no, I haven't taught in quite a few years now.
I taught at the university for a couple semesters at English for second learners.
Oh, okay, sure.
ESL, and it was a lot of fun to be in the Coburn building.
Yes.
Where we all got educated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be in the Coburn building and have a classroom and go out on the fire escape when I wasn't supposed to.
There you go. Good memories of that building.
Very good memories of that building. They had a room up in the attic where that used to be a locker room, and you could get to it by going through a certain door in the attic and see it. And it was quite interesting because it was a locker room built in the 1930s, 1920s.
Sure.
So it was all wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful detail.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful detail in that building. Gerry and I worked at Demoulas together. And at the time, it was Demoulas, right?
Yeah, that it was.
Yeah, it was Demoulas. It wasn't Marker Basket, and that shows how old we are. That we taught each other the dairy song of the day, and we used to sing a dairy song while we were cleaning out the deli and putting the meats away. And I remember that quite well. Gerry has one sister. I forget her name. Deborah.
Yeah, Debbie Frank Kerr.
Yeah, Debbie Frank Kerr, and a brother-in-law, Paul Frank Kerr, and how many nieces and nephews?
4.
4?
Yeah.
4 nieces and nephews. And he's married to Janine Durkin, who is the Associate Superintendent?
Assistant Superintendent for Support Services.
Assistant Superintendent for Support Services at the Administrative Offices in Lowell. How's Janine doing?
She's doing good. She's busy, you can imagine, especially this time of the year, getting ready for the opening. But yeah, things are good.
Things are good?
Yeah.
You know, where did you go on vacation, right?
We were down the Cape.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We enjoy it down there.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun down there. It's a different world.
Yeah, it's a different
pace.
pace.
It's like being in a different state.
Yeah.
Almost.
You know, almost when you go over the bridge, there's that feeling. Yeah.
Right. You just cross into a different country or state or something like that. I like to go to the Cape to go camping quite a bit, so I do a lot of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, some nice spots down there. A lot of people don't realize, I don't think, the amount of fresh water that's down there as well. You know, you think of the Cape, you think of the ocean that surrounds it, but there's a lot of fresh water, and with that, a lot of camping.
A lot of camping and a lot of cranberries.
Yeah, out there.
That too. So Gerry's job puts him in our spotlight today because he is literally responsible for the graduation of thousands of UMass Lowell students, right?
Yeah, we've had quite a few over the years. I'm going on actually I'll be starting my 38th year there.
38 years you've been admitting students to, you have any, keep count?
I don't know. I suppose if I went back in the files, I could give you an idea, but you know, I know.
Well, because I know that Gerry has my son Rory as a transfer student. Rory went to Middlesex College, got his associate's degree, and I think he's a senior now.
beautiful, yeah.
So, yeah, he's looking good.
That's a nice way of doing it too, Jim. We see a lot of students from Middlesex. You know, that's our #1 feeder school.
Is it?
And you look at the overall population, usually about half, I think last year, a little over half of our incoming class were transfers. So a lot of students are going that, you know, the community college route to start.
Right.
You know, they take the right courses, they all transfer, they save themselves some serious money. And then we see a lot of traffic from other four-year schools.
Right.
You know.
So you deal with other four-year schools too?
Well, we don't actively recruit there,
No,
but we
you-
interview and evaluate and accept students from the other four-year schools.
Okay.
You know, some students go away and it's either a little too close to home or a little too far away from home, so they want to make the move. Others, it's a financial. You know, there's savings by, you know, if you're transferring in from a private, you know, you're saving yourself some considerable money. So you see a variety of different students coming in with a, you know, from a variety of, or as a result of a, you know, different things that are, you know, attracting them.
Okay, now, who is the new chancellor?
Jackie Maloney?
Jackie Maloney.
Yeah.
We went to school with her.
Yes,
Yes,
she's a
okay.
graduate.
What was her last name when we went to school with her?
Jackie Fiddler.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. I thought she looked familiar.
There you go.
There you go. So Jerry now has a new boss, and the chancellor's office, I got a little tour of it from one of the secretaries, is fantastic. It overlooks the Merrimack River, right? And overlooks the rapids and the Richard P. Howe Bridge. And it's a gorgeous office, and Jerry's not bad either. He's got a pretty good look, a pretty good view from your office too, right?
Yeah, that's a nice spot. You know, we're lucky, right? You look at the university and, you know, what's happened over the last 6-7 years. And as far as the expansion of programs, the buildings, the updates to existing buildings, there's a lot of things happening on campus, and it's kind of an exciting time up there, you know.
The only thing I wish they do is paint that building that they just built on North Campus that has the yellow top and a red brick bottom.
Oh, okay, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I just wish they paint the yellow top red to match the Canal House.
There you go.
That would be good.
Sure, sure.
I think, anyway.
I'll have to check on that when I get back.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been watching that parking lot. It's really coming along. They're getting ready to pave it Saturday, stripe it Sunday, and
Use it Monday.
use it Monday, yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. And you know that one house that's left right there? I guess they finally have that house, but they, you know, there's a lease on it right now, but as soon as, you know, the folks that are in it move, they're gonna be.
It's a rental?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I think it's a
Yeah.
rental property. It's gonna make it nice, it's gonna really look nice over in the corner there.
Well, I had a little difficulty with Marty tearing down so many houses to expand the university, but
Yeah.
he put most of the buildings on existing university property.
Yeah, yeah, for the
But,
most.
you know, but the thing I'd like to see him do, her do, is put one of the colleges on the East Chelmsford site.
Oh, yeah, the old West Campus
old
there?
West Campus,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's a beautiful property.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
beautiful property.
That could stand some really nice buildings.
Yeah.
You could put up some really nice buildings.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. It's just a beautiful setting. You know, for a while, the College of Education was
Was
there.
it, right?
And then they moved that back, you know, over
I
to.
graduated from that college.
Yeah.
But you know, I got one of the blue shirts,
Oh, yeah?
and it says established 1991. And I think all of our degrees are before 1991, so I'm wondering if we're not established.
I wonder, I gotta check that out, because I got two that are before that. I gotta check on that.
Yeah, I know we were both in the same boat,
Yeah.
so.
I'll have to figure that one out, Jim, make sure. Either that or get a new shirt, right?
Right.
Get it established on a different date.
Get a shirt that was, we were established, well, technically we were established in the 1800s. So.
Yeah, what is it, 1894?
Mm.
The little state side, and 95, the tech side.
Yeah, the tech side had its own board, it had its own, it even had its own accounting of individuals who lost their lives in
Yeah.
the war.
I have some interesting books that Ava shared with me. And next time you're up, I'll show you. Catalogs from '01, '02.
Really?
Yeah, and it's interesting. And in the catalogs, you know, they touch on the programs, what was involved, the course descriptions, but it also lists in each catalog the incoming class.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
neat.
wow.
And where they were from,
Oh, that's
what
neat.
town, what city or town they were from. It was interesting.
No, this was for the
Lowell Tech. Lowell
Lowell
Tech.
Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like to take credit for Jerry's political ambition to be a school committeeman and city councilor. And the reason I like to take credit is Jerry was passing out pamphlets on Merrimack Street the day before the election. Was that?
That it was, yeah, last minute.
Monday before the election. And I met with him in Jordan Marsh where I was working. And I said, Jerry, let's go out in the street and pass as many of these out as we possibly can. So he and I went out and we passed out these all they said was Jerry Durkin School Committee, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little card.
A little card. And we passed out the little card, and Jerry won by 6 votes.
Yep.
So I'm taking credit for all 6.
There you go.
So there you go. There you have it. And I was very pleased that he won by 6 votes, and you increased the vote total, as I recall, in the recount.
Yeah, as a result of the primary, we picked up about, I think it was another 21.
So
Yeah.
you were a little more comfortable with that.
Yeah, it must have been the people we hit on the other side of the road.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
we
go.
hit everybody we saw. I know we've hit a couple of people who had paper bags and bottles inside of them. So I don't know if that they voted, but
There you go. Well, I often tell people, you got me involved in it, Jim, if you remember, when we were back in school, student government. You remember you
Oh.
talked me into running for student government, Senate, and then on to the class president there. And you kind of motivated me to get involved.
that's good. Yeah, just interesting. I didn't motivate myself to get involved.
Oh, you were doing a lot of things.
I did a lot of things. I was
Yeah.
I was the school treasurer, so that was something. And at the time, we had this is going to seem funny now because it's so low, but we had a budget of $70,000 for the student.
Sure.
For the
Yeah, for all the
students.
clubs and organizations
For
and
all
everything,
clubs and
yeah.
organizations, right?
Yeah.
And $70,000 now probably doesn't buy you into a single club, but
Well, you don't know.
I don't know what's going on with the McGovern building.
They're in the process of renovating it. They're going to be, there's going to be a couple of classrooms, I believe, but for the most, it's going to be more of a South Campus dining hall, and there's different options. I believe one floor is all like similar to Fox Hall, where you can come up, you pay a flat rate, and you can pretty much, wander the floor with a variety of different options. And then I believe there's going to be a market type setting where you'd come in and you could get prepared meals if you were to bring it back to your room or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe there's going to be a few options that would be, like a Subway or something like that.
Oh, well, that would be nice.
Yeah, franchise type. So it's going to be nice,
And you do have a Starbucks or something?
Yeah, there's Starbucks in the first floor of the library, O'Leary Library.
Okay.
But there's going to be a few different options in. It's going to be nice, and it's going to replace the existing CAF that's there now, that one floor building. And once this is built, that's coming down.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The little one?
Yeah.
Oh, we had some good times in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was always
Yeah,
a
that
good
was
spot.
fun. That was
always
fun.
a good spot.
I'm going to have to get a couple pictures of that because my grandchildren will never believe me.
There you go.
Um,
Yeah, I believe it's the new, McGovern is going to officially open second semester.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be open in time for the September, but it will be
No, it
second
looks like
semester.
they're still working on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but doing quite a bit there.
I just was curious because Dr. McGovern was the admissions officer when you and I went to
Oh,
school.
yes. Yeah.
And she got me in. My grades were not all they could have been, and she got me in, but she found the way to squeeze me into the class.
Yeah.
And the first semester I got straight A's. Second semester I got one C plus in a lab, so that kind of messed up my straight A's, but I got straight A's again.
Still in the right neighborhood.
And then I found, and I told this to Jackie Doherty, that my professors assumed in my second year that I was smart, and so I didn't have to do as much work.
That works, Jim.
So,
You must have did something to give them that impression.
yeah, well, I don't think I worked half as hard on the second year as I did in the first. And by the fourth year, I was married to Vicky Songus, and we were both going to school at the time. And that was kind of an interesting period.
Mm-hmm.
And we held I guess a Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
So in the cafeteria. And
Yes.
I remember that party. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so you were on the school board.
Right.
What were some of the issues that you were part of? You were part of the new, what is now the new high school?
Actually, I came on just after that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that had been decided. It was in the work, it was being done at the time, but the decisions were made. I was involved in the new school construction. I introduced a motion on the school board floor to look into the needs of the city in regards to new construction, because at the time we had a lot of older buildings that either needed rehab or we needed to replace. And that time it was right because the reimbursement formula was unbelievable for an urban city. Mm-hmm. So naturally we took advantage of it, because not only does it cover the building, I believe it was 90% at the time, not only does it cover the construction of the building, but whatever it takes to outfit the building. So it was a perfect time, and that's when that was the recent school construction program that the city went through.
Right.
Of course, now everything's that much older, so maybe we're getting ready, for another look or a refresh on those buildings.
I don't. The one thing I don't want to see is the Moody School torn down.
That's a beautiful old building.
Because the Moody School was built specifically for students. It had student desks parallel to the windows, so that the light from the windows would shine on the student desks, and they could read at their desks. And it had all sorts of things that were made into it that we wouldn't even think about now.
Yeah. So a lot of thought as far as the use of the building, the time of the day that it was being used, and things like that. That's interesting.
How big the windows were. Now I think we tinted the windows on the top half, and we just have the windows on the bottom. But the windows used to be huge.
Yeah.
They used to be huge.
The old buildings are beautiful. There's just nothing like them. Well, you talked about Coburn Hall as an example. That it's just, I used to enjoy having classes in that building as opposed to some of the newer and modern buildings.
I did too. I was pleased to see I can't remember which hall it is, across from the old Chancellor's office.
Allen House.
Okay, the Allen House, across from the Allen House. Which one's there?
Weed Hall?
Weed Hall.
Okay.
Okay, I was pleased to see in Weed Hall that they had seating for up to 200 people in a classroom.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some nice lecture hall type settings over there, and remember when we were there as students, that was all in the works. Remember?
Right.
In fact, I think our first year there, the CAF was actually in the basement of Dugan Hall.
Right.
And then that moved over to the new cafeteria that we're talking about them replacing now. And then you look at Weed, that was that had just opened, I think, when I first went there. And the music building was being built at the time.
What's the music building? Dugan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dugan Hall. I was upset that you didn't invite me when Billy Joel came over.
Yeah, I missed that one as well.
You missed that one as well.
Yeah, I think I was on the road that night.
Oh, Jesus, that was something.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine sitting down listening to Billy Joel talk about his songs?
Oh, yeah.
I just was, who is it that went, Marty Laurie's, Lila Laurie.
Right.
Lila Laurie. And Lila Laurie got to go. So it was wonderful.
Oh yeah. Anybody I talked to that attended that night, they said it was a great performance, and it was some good discussion and things like that.
He had a good discussion, right?
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I have a son who loves Billy Joel, and he's kind of like out of his element because he's younger.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Billy Joel is older.
Yeah.
But he loves Billy Joel, so we went to a concert, and we just happened to have the worst seats in the house. But when we sat in them, we were right above the stage.
Oh, okay.
So we were in the first row,
Of the
looking
upper.
down, top
Oh,
of the
that's
upper.
perfect, and no one in your way.
And no one in the way, and a clear view of Billy Joel and everything he was doing.
Sure.
And at one point, my son stood up and said, "I love you, Billy Joel." And Billy Joel pointed to him and said, "Yeah, okay."
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah,
There you go.
So my son got pointed out by Billy Joel, so that was good.
There we go. Recognized. Yeah.
But on the city council race, how did you do? What
I
was
enjoyed
your
the council.
placement?
I was on the council for what? 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. Yeah, I was always kind of in the middle of the pack, I guess.
In the middle of the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
that's
I've enjoyed it. I
good
enjoyed
place
it.
to be.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the committee I really enjoyed. You know, a lot of good issues there at the time. You know what I mean? A lot of things happening in the city, and you know, working with the individual schools, principals, the students, the parents, and we had a very active parent organization throughout my 10 years on the committee. So it was always a good group to work with.
We had Jackie Doherty on last week, and she was mentioning the citywide parent council and how it was dead, and
Sure.
Kim Scott wants to start it up again. So she was just mentioning that she'd like to see it started up again, and I said, yeah, I would too. But
Yeah, it's a nice way to dress parents into the system, you know, get them involved, you know what I mean, and their input, you know, it's priceless.
And it was once a well, I was the head of it for a while, and it was a once a month meeting, and Dr. Mraz, who was the superintendent, was always there, so you could always direct your questions to Dr. Mraz, and he would answer them, and it was a good experience.
Oh yeah.
For me.
Yeah, no question.
I did not expect to become chairman. I'm still not sure how that happened.
So you get involved, Jim.
Yeah, I get involved.
You get involved. That's good. That's a good thing.
But so what were some of the major issues for the city council? You mentioned that the school committee was a building program.
As far as city council, at the time when I first went on, one of the big issues were the abandoned cars. Remember that for a period? Lowell seemed to be a dumping place for abandoned cars. And I know I was on the subcommittee with, who was our chair, Tassi Poulias at the time. And, you know, that was, you know, it's looking back now and, you know, the way things are now, it's hard to imagine, you know, that we had a problem like that. But people were just abandoning cars in the city. I think that was big.
I remember that happening. I remember a Lawrence woman abandoning her car, and somehow I think she got killed doing it.
Really?
She bashed into a telephone pole or something.
Oh, geez. Oh, that's
I remember she was. They said that she was on her way to abandon her car.
Yeah.
Right.
But that budgets, you know, the day-to-day, you know, a lot of the difference in the committee, I'd say in the council committee, you know, dealing with the students, the parents, different issues within, you know, the educational programs, where the city was more of the, you know, sidewalks or projects, buildings, you know, things like that, controlling buildings. I know for a while there were a lot of people in the city concerned with the condos that were being built, or areas that were being overdeveloped.
Well,
you know, and that was really a big concern.
They used to call them Tully townhouses.
Oh, really? Is that what they were called?
That's what they were called.
Yeah.
They were houses that were built into condos. So the original house
condos
was
were tacked to an existing
attached
house.
to an
Yeah,
existing
yeah,
house, right?
Yeah.
And they used to call them Tully townhouses because so many of them cropped up in the Highlands.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a concern for a bit, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed to, you know, after a few years it was under control, but for a while there you saw some real development, and not development, overdevelopment, you know, and that was
Yeah.
a concern for neighbors.
I think that was a massive concern for neighbors. I know I live in the Highlands, and I've been there for 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
or 38 years or something like that. And it was a major concern in the Highlands,
Yeah.
because it was happening in the Highlands all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a big concern. Any others that you can remember?
Like I said, beyond that, there were just a variety of, day-to-day type things, and I mean, traditional things that are out there now, and it was keeping involved with the neighborhood organizations. We were fortunate, we had a very active grouping of neighborhood organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And again, similar to the parent organizations that would work with the committee, these organizations would work with the council and different subcommittees of the council. And they would have regular meetings that everybody was invited to. And it gave you a nice opportunity to talk to the individual, get out there, talk to the individuals in the neighborhoods, and at the same time just attend these meetings and be part of the discussion of the concerns that the particular parts of the city we're dealing with.
Okay, the superintendent of the day was whom?
Of what now?
Of your school committee?
Oh, well, my committee when I first went on was Pat Mogan.
It was Pat Mogan.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Pat Mogan.
And so these.
Mike Moroz. I also worked with Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, but Pat
Okay.
Mogan when I first went on. And
Yeah.
he was great. What he did for the city, and what he did as far as the national park and things like that. He was just somebody you could go down, you could talk to for hours, and his passion for it.
I got a unique opportunity to talk to him about the national park before it became even known that he was going to push.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really pushing for a national park, but he was pushing to save the canals. And there was a fear that the canals would be turned into parking lots, filled in with dirt and concrete, and turned into parking lots.
Yeah.
And he was the one who was instrumental in. My father talked to me and said, "Jim, are you interested at all in the canals?" And I said, "Oh yeah." And he said, "Well, go across the street to the Smith Baker Center, and there's a guy there named Pat Mogan,
Mm-hmm.
and Peter Samus, and you want to talk to them about the canals because they know more about the canals than anybody. They know more about the canals than anybody." And I went across the street, and there they were, making wooden canals.
Oh, really?
And with blue paint on the bottom to signify water, and they had gondolas on them. They thought that they might be able to use the canals like Venice and
Mm-hmm.
have gondolas on
Sure.
them. And of course our canals are close to the road, so that
Yeah.
was kind of a problem. But
Yeah.
but I remember the gondolas part because it was just such a difference from the Midwest.
Oh, sure.
I grew up in the Midwest, and here was my father telling me, go over and talk to this guy about the canals, and he's talking about gondolas. And,
Yeah. Well, you get the right person. He can give you a good history on it. And I think, Pat Mogan also realized the value of the city and how to use it in education.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, it made a difference. And you see that, well, even today, as a result of the national park, you see the people that come through the city and have an appreciation for the history of the city, you know what I mean, and what went on years back, and
Right.
how the city's progressed over the years. But Pat had a real appreciation for that, and he realized the value.
Well, I was. I know that you and my brother-in-law did not see eye to eye on much when you were in the school committee, and he was trying to do whatever he was doing to the schools.
There were some issues. There
Yeah,
were some
there were
issues
some
we didn't
issues.
get involved in that we didn't see eye to eye. And, it's at the time, I think the main issue was the city giving up the old trade school.
Right.
It was a property that we needed. Space-wise, it's a property that's very active right now. It's the 9th grade for the entire
Right.
city. And you know, he had some concerns with the then superintendent, Moroz, regarding not giving up that building, but it was just something we needed. And you know, you look at, you know, as a member of the school committee, naturally, I'm there for the good of the student. You know what I mean?
Right. So
that's the argument I'm making. I'm making the argument that would benefit the student and, you know, be in the best interest of the students.
the whole argument went on for a couple of years, right?
Yeah, it went on for quite a while.
The
It
whole
went on
time,
quite a
the whole time you
while.
were in the school committee, I think.
A good part of
A
it.
good part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did a good job of saving the building, turning it into the Arts Magnet School,
Yes.
and the citywide magnet school for a while.
Yeah, we did. We like I said, you look at it. We won that battle, and we were able to maintain the build, keep it as a school department property, and you know, we got a lot of use out of it over the years.
Now, Paul was pushing for what?
I believe we wanted to develop it for condos.
I think it's better use as a freshman academy.
Oh, I think so, no question, and especially where you're so limited space-wise, because we've had growth in the department over the year. You know, with every year, you know, different years, the student population goes. You know, there's cycles, and you know, we've really, as things get tight with the number of students that we had in the city, there was a definite need for that building, and there still is. You know. At one time, it housed the adult ed program, which had since moved to
right,
the Green School.
Right.
And you know, at that point, then it went back to the high school and was part of the high school for classes. And then most recently, it was the Arts and City Magnet School for a while too.
Right.
And then when they moved to out to some of the neighborhood schools, that particular theme, and there was a need at the high school for space, then it went back to the high school for classrooms, and then from there on to the freshman academy.
How would you vote now if you were still on the school committee on the location of the high school?
Jim, I think there's value on there's arguments both ways. There's value on both sides of the arguments. You know, bringing it out of the city, you'd have more of an athletic space. But I'd vote to keep it downtown. I'd say. You know, because I think it's centrally located for all the neighborhoods, and it's on some of the local bus lines, so students can get there by way of the traditional buses, as opposed to, you know, a series of school buses everywhere. And I think it's good for the city as far as, you know, students in the downtown. When school isn't in session, after school, you know, it brings, from what I hear, it brings business to the businesses, which is a good thing.
Right.
And but I think it's the fact that it's centrally located, and I think there's some history to the building down there. You know,
I have a woman who wants me to start a petition drive to save the school downtown. And I haven't decided yet whether I want to get involved with the petition drive. Period.
Sure.
Because they take up a lot of time. But she thinks we could get thousands of signatures from people to save the building downtown, and I tend to think she's right. She asked me if I would start it, and I said, well, I'll think about it. So I haven't done anything with it, but it's an interesting idea to petition to put it downtown. I wanted to go where the Union National Bank used to be.
yes.
Okay, St. John d'Arc is there now?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I'm not sure exactly what's there, but I know the building just across the canal.
Just across the canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pay. According to Kristen Sigerwich, before she said she wasn't going to run it anymore, we would have to pay $50 million for the building that's there, and then we would end up raising the building and building a new high school. I would like to see a new high school built up on the supports of the Merrimack Mill.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was taken
Yeah.
down. And I think we could do that in a very picturesque and historic looking building.
Mm-hmm.
Something along the lines of the Westford Academy. Do you know the Westford
Okay,
Academy?
yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, beautiful building.
Yeah, that's a beautiful building, and,
Yeah.
it's wooden windows and everything.
Yeah,
Just
it would
is-
fit with the historical theme. My understanding is the old building would stay, right?
That's my
In some of the
understanding
early
too,
talk,
right.
what I've heard or read in the paper.
The 1980s building?
Yeah, no, the old building.
Oh, the old building would stay.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that's something, the old construction is beautiful, you know what I mean? And there's just a lot of character in the building, you know, a lot
Well,
of history.
that building happens to be in the best shape of any building over there. And that was
Exactly.
built in 1893.
Yeah, that's often the case with the older construction, you know?
Yeah, and that was built in 1893, and it's the most solid building on the lot.
Hmm.
The 1922 building gives them a little bit of a headache on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it
but
still fits.
still fits.
Yeah, it fits.
But the one that's causing the most problem is the 1980s building. The air conditioning doesn't work. Sometimes I have difficulty with electrical,
Really?
and they had massive difficulty with the amount of snow that we had last year,
Mm-hmm.
Melting on
Oh,
top of
really?
the building,
On the roof?
and it melted and dripped on the basketball court.
Oh, geez.
So that was a major
Yeah.
concern. Now, who was the city manager when you were on the city council?
When I was on the council, Jim Campbell.
I thought it was
Jim Campbell, Dick Johnson,
Okay,
you know, during that period.
okay. Yeah, I remember Jim Malazzo was up for a vote for that, but
When Jim Campbell?
yeah.
Okay. I don't know, the Jim was in place when I arrived, you know.
Yeah, he had the 5
Yeah.
votes.
You know, I mean, he was there, the previous council had put him there.
Right.
I believe,
I
yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
know, but he had
Yeah.
he had the 5 votes when you came aboard,
Yeah.
so he was
Yeah.
pretty safe. The thing that surprises me politically is how stable Kevin Murphy is.
Yeah.
He's got the 9 votes, and they seem to go with him almost all the time, so that's a
Yeah.
great thing.
Oh, yeah, gives you an
Is-
opportunity to really move forward, you know what I mean?
Well,
Do it
it's
again.
nice not having the 5-4, 5-4, 5-4 issue
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna vote for the fifth, what's our 5th vote on this, and what's our 5th vote on that?
Yeah, and I think he has some good background, you know
Oh,
what I
he has
mean?
excellent
He has
background.
excellent background, so he was the right candidate for the job, I think. And I think, like you had mentioned, with the support of the council, you can really identify a number of different areas and just move forward. If you're not stuck in that weekly you know, if you're in a 5-4 council, you know what I mean? Whether you have arguments, it seems, every week, but you're not seeing that now.
No,
you know?
you're not
And you're
that
seeing
now.
it in the city, a lot of good things happening. It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
And I think it's strengthened the partnership of the city and the university as well, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think definitely this partnership
Yeah.
between the city and the university is strengthened a lot.
Yeah.
It's become very chic to be in the university,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Oh, sure.
I wanted to point out that the behind us is the picture of the old City Hall, which is now Enterprise Bank, and the Enterprise has done its best to make the old City Hall stay looking like an older building, and the way it was when it was built. And they even have the old City Hall monogram on the sign.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I really like that building.
It's a beautiful building.
And there was a story once about a guy who came here and he was an abolitionist. And of course, Lowell wasn't too high on abolitionists at the time because most people worked in cotton manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they needed the cotton from the South. So they weren't, this was in the about 1835. They weren't that keen about to have somebody come up and talk to them about abolition of the slavery. And they chased him down Merrimack Street, and he dove through the glass in City Hall.
The old City Hall building there, yeah?
The old
Yeah?
City Hall
Oh.
building. He dove through the glass and hid in the room and waited for the crowd to dissipate.
That might have been a good idea.
Yeah, they had Andrew Jackson here for a parade. It's just been it's an interesting city.
Oh, yeah.
Historically.
No question. You look at, over the years and, what's gone on in the city and how the city and what's gone on within the city had been such a part of, history of the country.
Right.
And,
I went to the Waltham Mill. Have you ever been there?
No.
The Waltham Mill that started the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
I went to the Waltham Mill, and you could see why they would have difficulty with the water flow, because the water was pretty stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And they dropped it down to turn the wheels,
Sure.
but they didn't have much push to it. In Lowell, we still could put generators in half of the turbine housing, and I think we could electrify Lowell, but just by using the old turbines that were in existence back in 1830s.
Oh, yeah. Well, you look at the river, the falls, the canal, and that combination, you know what I mean? So much has happened as a result of it, you know what I mean? I think as a result of where the river, the falls were, I'm sure that had, something to do with the early design of the canals and just how they were placed and, where the drops are and things like that.
Right. I saw that you could drop one waterfall and turn wheels on one, and then drop it down further and turn another wheel, and have two wheels running in the same mill.
Yeah, that's
so
wild.
For different floors.
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating. The thing that nobody knows, or nobody seems to know, I talked to the National Park about this, was that in the 1880s, 1890s, we switched to steam for most of our generation of power. And we used steam. And outside of this building is the old steam housing building.
Oh, really? Right out back?
Right out back.
Oh, okay.
And you can see where the men had to work the coal shovels.
Sure.
In the bottom of it. It's all kind of fenced in and everything, and so people stay out of it. But
yeah.
It's I'm hoping it's part of the national park, and it wouldn't be raised by anybody, because it's one of the first huge steam units.
Sure.
In existence.
Now, is it restored, or is it just
It's
still pretty much the way it was?
It's pretty much the way it was.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hasn't been restored yet. I've taken pictures of it to be safe. And I take pictures of almost everything just to be safe.
Sure. Well, that's a nice collection to have.
It's it's a beautiful building, and you can see how hard it was to keep it going by looking at
where
the men stood.
Where they worked, yeah.
Where they worked.
The workspace, yeah.
The coal was dropped on them, and they were shoveling the coal under the steam generator.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty much in original condition, so if you ever get a chance.
I was just going to say, you got me curious now. I have to get out there.
Well, you know where the Statue of the Woman are?
Right.
Okay. If you walk around the Statue of the Woman and go down that sidewalk.
Yeah.
To between the Market Mills and the, I'm not sure if the other ones are Market Mills too, but where the parking lot is for the national park. And you look in front of you, you'll see the steam generator.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out.
You should check it out.
That'll be my walk back.
I would like to see steam given some credit, because a lot of people worked really hard to generate steam. You remember the Titanic movie? And they showed the steam room?
Sure. Yeah.
And the men were just shoveling coal into this.
They were tough conditions, yeah.
Yeah, they're very tough conditions. And Jack London grew up in California, but he wrote about being a steam shoveler, a coal shoveler.
Oh, really?
For 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And it almost killed him. He said it was like the hardest work he'd
Oh,
ever done.
I'm sure.
And the thing I liked about Jack London was that Jack London would write 2,000 words before breakfast every morning, not something.
Off to a good start.
Yeah, so that was, he was quite the writer. Okay, this has been Jim Peters. This has been this town's character, and our character today is Gerry Durkin of the Lowell, University of Massachusetts Lowell. I always get that confused because I graduated from the University of Lowell, and Gerry and I were talking about whether or not it was, since the church say it was established in 1991, are our degrees legal? We're not sure.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. So, just so we graduated from the University of Lowell, or University of the University of Lowell.
The University of Lowell.
Yeah, and we had a good time going there. So thank you very much, Gerry, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jim. It's been a
Thanks.
pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Gerry.
All right.